Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the virtual launch of the ASEAN project. The ASEAN stands for the ASEAN Standards and Certification for Experts on Disaster Management. It is an initiative by the ASEAN Committee on Disaster Management, or the ACDM, to enhance the quality in disaster management by establishing a common set of standard skills and competencies, along with its validation process. The project has received a generous funding support from the Republic of Korea and will be implemented by the AHA Center for a period of 3 years. I would like to acknowledge the presence of AHA Center partners as well as VIPs in the room. It is our privilege to have the ASEAN Secretary General, His Excellency Dato Lim Jok Hoi, the Ambassador of Republic of Korea to ASEAN, His Excellency Im Sung Nam, and ambassadors from our partners and direct partners, including from the permanent representative to ASEAN. I would like to acknowledge the presence of a Committee of Permanent Representatives from Brunei Darussalam, from Cambodia, from Indonesia, Myanmar, Singapore, and Vietnam. I also would like to acknowledge the presence of the ACDM focal point from Indonesia, from the Philippines, Cambodia, Singapore, and Malaysia. We also have a representative from the ASEAN Dialogue Sectoral and Development Partners. We have a representative from the Mission of Canada to ASEAN, the Mission of China to ASEAN, the Indian Mission to ASEAN, the European Union Mission to ASEAN, as well as the New Zealand Mission to ASEAN. We also have in the room our friends and partners of the AHA Center. We have representatives from the UNOCHA Indonesia, the WFP Indonesia, as well as from the Regional Office of the Asia Pacific, the UNDP Indonesia, UNICEF Indonesia, the ICRC and the IFRC, Mercy Malaysia, Red R Australia, the DHL, the Temasek Foundation, ADPC, the USAID Indonesia, US Prospect Pacific Disaster Center, MAP Action, as well as the ASEAN IPR. I apologize if I miss anyone from the list of attendants. If I miss anyone, please let us know. For the list of participants, you can see it on your chat box if you want to see who is present in this launch event. Before we begin, I would like to outline the agenda for today. We will begin with the remarks from the Secretary General of ASEAN, His Excellency Dato Lim Jok Hoi. After that, we will listen to the remarks from the Ambassador of Republic of Korea to ASEAN, His Excellency Im Sung Nam, followed by the remarks from the Executive Director of the AHA Center, Ms. Adelina Kamal, and a short introduction of the project by the ASEAN Project Coordinator, Mr. Andrew Mardanugraha. After the remarks, we will have the launching ceremony. Due to the virtual nature of this launching event, the team has prepared a surprise for us. We will see what the surprise is later. A few rules and additional information. Please put your correct name in your Zoom profile. Second, mute your mic when you're not talking. Third, please also turn on your video so we can see who is in the room. Fourth, don't forget to express your congratulations at the Timo board that we have prepared. Please see the link to go to the Timo board on your chat box. For those of you who want to know more about the ASEAN project, you can download the brochure from the link that is also available in the chat box. Without further ado, I would like to invite the Secretary General of ASEAN, His Excellency Dato Lim Jok Hoi, to provide his remarks. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Moderator. His Excellency Lim Sung Nam, Ambassador of Republic of Korea to ASEAN, Ms. Adelina Kamal, Executive Director of the AHA Center, His Excellencies Permanent Representatives to ASEAN, His Excellency Ambassadors from Dialogue, Sectoral and Development Partners, as well as international organizations, His Excellency ACDM Focal Point, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and selamat pagi. I'm pleased to address you today during this ceremony to launch the ASEAN Standard and Certification for Expert in Disaster Management, or ASEAN. This achievement marks another milestone for ASEAN-Republic Korea cooperation. I would like to begin by expressing my heartfelt appreciation to the government of Republic Korea for their generous support in building a more sustainable and resilient ASEAN community. The Republic of Korea has actively engaged with ASEAN for over 30 years and contributed significantly to the ASEAN community. As one of the ASEAN strategic partners, we are grateful for the support in many initiatives to promote peace, stability, and prosperity in the region. The commemorative summit of the 30th anniversary of ASEAN-Republic Korea dialogue relation held in Busan in November last year has reaffirmed our cooperation and shared commitment and brought new momentum to our partnership. At the recent ASEAN-Republic Korea ministerial meeting held earlier in September, we have jointly expressed our satisfaction on the significant progress of our cooperation, which also includes the enhanced collective efforts in mitigating the impact of COVID-19. Our comprehensive cooperation across all three pillars significantly reflects our leaders' joint vision of peace, prosperity, and partnership. On disasters management and humanitarian assistance, Republic Korea is very active in working with ASEAN at both the regional and national levels. The Republic Korea is always amongst the first to support ASEAN in boosting ASEAN collective response to COVID-19 pandemic. They have committed to contribute $1 million to the COVID-19 response funds to support the response efforts of ASEAN member states. Furthermore, the Republic of Korea has provided test kits and medical equipment and scheduled in-country state trainings for laboratories officers of the ASEAN member states through the $5 million project on enhancing the detection capacity for COVID-19 in ASEAN member states, launched in June 2020. These are in addition to the sustained engagement of the Health Authority of the Republic of Korea with the ASEAN health sector in sharing timely technical information, knowledge in controlling the spread of virus and mitigating its public health impact through existing health coordination mechanism and through webinar series. Republic Korea has also quickly responded to the ASEAN call for facilitating repatriation and supporting the development of the Rakhine states. The Republic Korea has helped fund the implementation of the projects on information dissemination and strengthening understanding of the repatriation process in Rakhine. Today, we recognize the Republic of Korea's significant contribution of more than $3 million towards the ASEAN Standards and Certification for Experts in Disasters Management project. The 3-year ASEAN project expects to enhance the capacity of disasters management professionals from ASEAN member states through 2 prongs. First, high standards and quality of training, and second, certification of capable and qualified officers based on the agreed ASEAN standards. These projects, together with other capacity building programs, will generate a pool of able professionals who can better prepare the ASEAN community to face existing and forthcoming challenges in disasters. I'm happy to note that this project is one of the deliverables and priority for the ADMIA work program. The implementation of this project will contribute towards realization of ASEAN's goal to become one of the global players in disaster management by 2025. I would also like to acknowledge the signing of the Memorandum of Intent between AHA Center and Korea National Fire Agency. The memorandum would encourage the exchange of expertise, which is expected to further the implementation of the ASEAN project. More broadly, this dovetails with ASEAN and the Republic of Korea priority to promote closer people-to-people exchanges in cooperation. In this vein, the collaboration between the Korean National Fire Agency and the AHA Center is yet another testament to the close relations between ASEAN and Republic of Korea. In furthering our strategic partnership, we need to continue closely together in developing cooperation across the three pillars of people, prosperity, and peace. Along with disaster management and health, there is much potential in enhancing our collaboration in other areas such as trade and investment, infrastructure, cybersecurity, digital technology, and people-to-people connectivity. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before ending my remarks, I would like to reiterate my appreciation to the support and continuous contributions of the Republic of Korea, especially Ambassador Lim, for his relentless efforts in promoting the ASEAN and Republic of Korea stronger connection and partnership. My thanks and congratulations, as well as to the ASEAN Committee on Disasters Management and the AHA Center, whose hard work and commitment has been crucial to the launching of the ASEAN project. I look forward to the successful implementation, and I'm hopeful that the continued support and cooperation, we will overcome our present and future challenges. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, His Excellency Dato Lim Jokhoi, for the warm remarks. With that, I would like to invite the Ambassador of Republic of Korea to ASEAN, His Excellency Im Sung Nam, to give his remarks. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Good morning, His Excellency Dato Lim Jokhoi, Secretary General of ASEAN, Executive Director Adelina Kamal of AHA Center, ambassadors and colleagues. I'm honored and pleased to welcome each and everyone to this online launching ceremony of the ASEAN Standardization and Certification of Experts in Disaster Management, or ASEAN project in short. I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude to the AHA Center for organizing this meaningful event in the midst of COVID-19. At the ASEAN Korea Commemorative Summit held in Busan last November, President Moon Jae-in and 10 ASEAN leaders agreed to strengthen cooperation in the field of disaster management. More specifically, our 11 leaders noted the significance of the ASEAN project, which is worth $3.35 million, as well as disaster risk management capacity building project for ASEAN, which is worth $4.75 million. Whereas the ASEAN project is being launched today, we believe that disaster risk management capacity building project, which requires ASEAN specialists to travel to Korea, will be implemented as soon as the COVID-19 situation is stabilized. While the financial source for the ASEAN project is ASEAN-Korea Cooperation Fund, its vision has been provided by ASEAN. In particular, as we all know, ASEAN's vision for disaster management has been set out by the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response, or ADMER, since 2009, with the AHA Center as a main implementing entity. With the AHA Center as a prime mover for the implementation of the ASCEND project, this joint program of ASEAN and Korea aspires to enhance the capacity of ASEAN member states in the disaster management, among others, by establishing regionally recognized competency standard over the period of 3 years. Korea has also suffered from various natural disasters. This summer, for instance, we were struck by a couple of severe typhoons and continued heavy rainfall. On the basis of Korea's own experiences and expertise in disaster management, we have always been eager to seek areas for further collaboration with ASEAN. It is exactly against this background that Korea's National Fire Agency and AHA Center signed the Memorandum of Intent to further develop cooperation and exchange of experts in the field of disaster management and emergency response last November. In particular, we hope that Korea's IT-driven disaster management system will be able to make meaningful contributions to the realization of ASEAN's goal to become a global leader in disaster management by 2025. There is a saying that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The road to ascend to effective disaster management might be a long journey. However, with the ASCEND project, I strongly hope and believe that Korea and ASEAN will be able to plant a meaningful seed of cooperation with a view to building the people-centered community of peace and prosperity as envisaged by Korea's new Southern policy. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency Im Sung Nam, for the warm remarks. With that, I would like to invite the Executive Director of the AHA Center, Ms. Adelina Kamal, to give her remarks. Ibu Lina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dipo. Bismillah. Excellency Datuk Lim Jock Hoi, Secretary General of ASEAN, Excellency Lim Sung Nam, Ambassador of the Republic of Korea to ASEAN, Excellencies, prominent representatives of ASEAN member states, as well as Ambassador to ASEAN from ASEAN Dialogue Sectoral and Development Partners, Chair and focal points of the ASEAN Committee on Disaster Management, or ACDM, the founding parents of AHA Center, partners of the AHA Center, colleagues from the ASEAN Secretariat, the Republic of Korea Mission to ASEAN and AHA Center. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning from Jakarta, Indonesia. On behalf of the AHA Center, I'd like to thank Your Excellencies and other honorable guests and participants for being here with us today for the launch of our new project supported by the Republic of Korea, called the ASEAN, the ASEAN Standards and Certification of Expert in Disaster Management. Special appreciation goes to the Secretary General of ASEAN, the SG Kung Phuc, as well as colleagues from the ASEAN Secretariat for your support. Thank you very much, Dato, for your time today. Special appreciation also goes to Ambassador Lim Sung Nam and colleagues at the Republic of Korea Mission to ASEAN for your support from the initiation stage of the project until the endorsement of the project. Kamsa Hamida, Ambassador. We are so excited that we are finally able to launch the ASEAN project with you. We also look forward to working very closely with the Korean National Fire Agency as our implementing partner, following the signing of the MOI last November 2019. Special appreciation is also directed to the National Disaster Management Authority of Indonesia, or BNPB, for initiating the ASEAN framework in the first place, using the experience in setting up the certification agency for disaster management professionals in Indonesia. Thanks again, Indonesia, for pioneering and putting the foundation for the ASEAN from 2016 to 2019. We would also like to thank our founding parents, the ASEAN Committee on Disaster Management. Many of our founding parents are here with us for the launch, and we are very grateful for your presence. Thank you very much for embracing the idea and subsequently providing your support and endorsement for the ASEAN framework and this 3-year project. And we look forward to working closely with the NDMOs, the National Disaster Management Organization, under this ASEAN project. I'd like to acknowledge also the presence of some special people to the AHA Center. Mr. Said Faisal, the former executive director of the AHA Center. The ASEAN idea was actually conceived during his time. Pak Danan Sunoto from the US Prospect was also before that with the ASEAN Secretary, who also supported the idea of ASEAN in the beginning. And of course, Pak Sugimin, the former head of Indonesia Certification Agency for Disaster Management Professionals, who was the driving force behind the ASEAN. Thank you very much, Bapak-Bapak, for joining us at the AHA Center for the launch. The ASEAN idea was inspired from a challenge every time there was a large-scale disaster. We met a lot of responders coming from different countries, organizations, institutions, companies, as well as individuals, bringing in the much-needed assistance. However, goodwill alone is not enough when it comes to saving lives. We need professionals who know what they are doing, and the disaster-affected countries also need to be sure that they will be getting certain quality of services and support. Often we also found disaster tourists and responders claiming then that they know it all. Some of them may be capable humanitarian actors, but we also find it difficult sometimes to identify their specific skills, making it difficult to coordinate with them as well as seek recommendations. Therefore, the ASEAN project aims to validate and enable us to recognize specific skills and competencies of individuals working in the disaster management sector. Basically, the idea is about professionalizing our disaster management community in the ASEAN region. The recognized certification will help the AHA Center as well as the ASEAN member state in determining the right skills and expertise when deploying or receiving assisting teams. On the other hand, the competency standards can also serve as credible reference to guide disaster management institutions and organizations when we are developing a training program. As for the individuals who will receive this certification and also certified according to the standard, it will also help continuous learning and career progression in the disaster management sector. When we at the AHA Center presented the idea at some international events, such as the Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in Mongolia in 2018, we learned from many UN colleagues and other regional organizations that ASEAN could be the first ever regional initiative of its kind. It is therefore our hope that the AHA Center, along with our ASEAN member states and our partner, the Republic of Korea, will be able to showcase the milestone of ASEAN at the global platform for disaster risk reduction that Indonesia will host in the year 2020. It will be an exciting journey to move this initiative forward to contribute to the realization of the ASEAN goal to become a global leader in disaster management by the year 2025. While this region is a supermarket of disasters, but we are also not short of experience, as ASEAN countries have been responding to and experiencing disasters for the past decades. And the best teacher is our experience. However, the beauty of the ASEAN project is that we are not going to do it alone, as the ASEAN project will also provide a platform for the AHA Center and ACDM to work with our Korean partners, as well as other partners, such as the United Nations, the Red Cross and Red Crescent family, and civil society and academic institutions. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, before we officially launch the project, I would like to request our PMT, the ASEAN Project Management Team, to give us further details on the uniqueness of the ASEAN project and the excitement that we're going to have in the next 3 years, and how the ASEAN project can also strategically help ASEAN in professionalizing the disaster management sector and also building regional resilience. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Bu Adelina. Excellencies and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. First, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Andrew Mananugraha, the ASEAN Project Coordinator at the AHA Center. I'm happy to be in this occasion and have the opportunity to share the overview of the ASEAN 3 years project. So let me begin with the reason behind the ASEAN idea. The ASEAN aims to contribute in improving the resiliency of the region by ensuring that disasters across the region are handled by competent disaster management professionals. To achieve that, ASEAN will establish regional standards that become a basis for identifying and validating disaster management professionals in the region through the certification. The standards and certification process will also support disaster management professionals to work more effectively within their country or across the ASEAN member states. Now, as the name suggests, ASEAN consists of two main components. The first one is the development of common competency standards that are recognized by all ASEAN member states. Second, based on the available standards, ASEAN will validate individuals, in this case, disaster management professionals, to ensure that their skills and competencies are meeting our established standards. So in a sense, we will be establishing and maintaining a set of standards and use it to validate disaster management professionals through a credible certification process. The ASEAN development has actually been started since quite some time. The idea was born around 5 years ago, and Indonesia had taken the lead, taken the idea into something more concrete since 2016. So between 2016 and 2019, the government of Indonesia, through the Competent Certification Office of Disaster Management, or called here LSPPB, under DBNPB, had started phase 1 development. The government of Indonesia led the creation of the ASEAN framework and the establishment of competency standards for the first 5 professions. And now, with this project, the AHA Center is taking up the baton with the second phase development. This is where we are at now. In general, the second phase aims to put rocks and cement on top of the foundations. The focus of the second phase is to prepare the institutions that will host and sustain the ASEAN program, along with all technical instruments needed. At the end of phase 2, when we are ready with the institutional and technical preparation, we'll conduct a pilot certification assessment and have the first batch of certified professionals. As for the third phase, the ASEAN program aims for full implementation with regular standard updates and regular certification process. In the third phase, we will also explore the possibility of ASEAN inclusion into the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Arrangement, or the MRA. So what's been available from the first phase? As I mentioned before, in the first phase, the government of Indonesia had initiated the ASEAN development and laid a significant foundation. 2 documents are available, which are the ASEAN framework and competency standards for the first 5 professions. The ASEAN framework was endorsed during the AMMDM in 2017. In addition to the documents, a pilot assessors training had been conducted in 2018, where 18 assessors, mostly from the NDMO's training unit, came from 7 different countries in the region. So that's briefly about the first development phase. Now let me take you to the second development phase, the one that we will officially launch in a short moment. So we are very grateful that the government of the Republic of Korea is supporting us in this phase, the phase 2. The support valued 3.3 million for 3 years and will involve all ASEAN member states. And one thing that is very important from the support, among others, is that it allows the AHA Center to create a project team that works full-time for the ASEAN development. This is something that AHA Center didn't have in the previous phase. In implementing the ASEAN project, the AHA Center will also collaborate with the Korean National Fire Agency. And yeah, together with the KNFA, the AHA Center will exchange knowledge and expertise, including conducting a joint events such as training, workshop, or seminar. This is the project team. Currently, 2 out of 4 full-time positions are filled. Myself and as the project coordinator, and Ririn Haryani as the project officer. Hopefully, we can fill other positions soon. Also, the project also inviting 2 interns to support the project, one from the ASEAN member states and the other one from Republic of Korea. However, we expect a delay in the internship program due to the pandemic situation. The team works under the purview of the Project Steering Committee, which consists of the ASEAN Committee on Disaster Management, Knowledge and Innovation Management Working Group, the ASEAN Secretariat, the ASEAN Korea Project Management Team, and the Korean National Fire Agency as the co-proponent. So for the project outcomes, the current ASEAN project sets up at least 4 outcomes. First is to involve more and prepare more the ASEAN member states in implementing the ASEAN program. Second, as mentioned a number of times before, is to have a set of competency standards and certification process in place. Number 3, the project supports the preparation of the AHA Center in taking a role as the ASEAN Secretariat. And lastly, the project will communicate ASEAN to wider audience and start exploring possibilities to include it in the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Arrangement. In general, the project scope will consist of 60% technical and institutional setup, which I will share in the following slides, 20% on the pilot certification process, and another 20% for the publication and promotions. And along with the implementation, of course, there will be a project governance and routine operational activities. So for the technical setup, the technical setup is basically to prepare all necessary elements for the certification process. It includes the preparation of various reference documents, or we call it assessment toolboxes. Within the toolboxes are the competency standard reference, manuals for assessors and candidates, and the assessment standard procedures, including all the necessary rules and regulations for the process. On the capacity development, the project will prepare the assessors team through proper selection and training activities. Also, there will be a preparation program for the candidate in the format of e-learning and webinars. This is to ensure a level playing field for all the candidates. And lastly, for the technical setup, we will prepare a robust central database and online registration system to support all the process. The project will also prepare the institutional setup. This is to ensure that ASEAN is sustained and not a project-based activity. We are identifying at least 3 different institutions that need to be prepared to ensure a credible and independent certification process. So the first one is the competent body, where competency standards and certification mechanisms are reviewed and approved. This can be the ACDM Knowledge and Innovation Management Working Group or a new special committee within the ACDM. We will also explore the involvement of the National Professional Certification Agency to be in this body. Second is the certifying body or the secretariat, the one that managing the standards competencies, standard operating procedures, or basically managing the whole certification activities. This is where the AHA Center, specifically the ASEAN Secretariat, will take the role. And third is the assessment providers, where the assessment process takes place. This can be the NDMO training institutes or the national competence certification offices, should they exist in the country. In this pilot implementation phase, the AHA Center will initially take a significant part of ASEAN activities. However, gradually, towards the end of the project, the AHA Center will involve more relevant institutions in the member states to take more role and responsibility in the ASEAN program. These are the first 5 professions that we are going to pilot for standardization certification: rapid assessment, humanitarian logistics, shelter management, emergency operations center, water, sanitation, and hygiene. Apart from developing and executing the project activities, we'll also prepare a learning mechanism where we can pause, reflect, and improve our current design and ways of working. This learning mechanism is critical for us to be able to find the most effective and sustainable way of scaling up the ASEAN in the future. This is the overview of the project schedule for 3 years. As we all know, 2020 has been a tough year for everyone, and the situation has forced us to reschedule many of our planned activities. We are thankful that our donor country has provided us with some level of flexibility. So for 2020, first we will focus on completing our team members, also recruiting consultants. But apart from that, this year we will initiate the baseline study, the development of the database and registration system, as well as the development of, or the finalization of the toolboxes. For 2021 and 2022, besides continuing works that we start this year, we are hoping to be able to start conducting meetings and workshops with the member states, including some training and roadshows. And in the last semester of 2022, we plan to conduct our pilot assessment for the first 5 professions. So that's in brief what the project looks like. Now I want to close my presentation by sharing what does it mean when someone is certified. So we want to begin this project with the end in mind. So we envisage that when someone says, I am ASEAN certified, this sentence means, first, the ASEAN member states, NDMOs, and the AHA Center acknowledge that I have extensive knowledge and experience on disaster management in the context of ASEAN region. Second, the AMS NDMOs and the AHA Center prefer to accept me when I am approaching them for offering support. Third, the AMS NDMOs and the AHA Center recognize me as a valuable asset and prefer to choose me to support emergency response or other disaster management activities. And lastly, my institution or organization where I work recognize my competencies and prefer me when they need to interact with the AMS NDMOs or the AHA Center. So these are our dreams now, but we will make them come true through this project. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So that's the overview of the project. I'm in particular very pleased to have Andrew and Ririn back with us. Just shortly, Andrew was with the AHA Center some years ago and then left, but we now have Andrew back and we call him Jedi. So the Jedi has returned to the AHA Center. And Ririn, the training officer, used to be with the AHA Center Executive Program and then went to New Zealand for PhD. And now Ririn, soon to be a PhD, is returning to the AHA Center as our training officer. So we are very fortunate to have among us the best of former AHA Center colleagues who are now with AHA Center again. Thank you very much for listening to the project overview, and over to you, Dipo, for the launch.
Thank you, Bu Adelina and Andrew, for the remarks and the presentation. And now let us begin the ceremony. Now I would like to begin by requesting the SG, His Excellency Ambassador Im Sung Nam and Ibu Adelina, to take your phones. You will see a button on your phone. Please kindly show it to us. Don't press it yet, though. Please wait for my mark and press the button after the countdown. I will now count to 3. 1, 2, 3.
The sound of the signal officially marks the beginning of the 3 years project of the ASEAN Standards and Certification for Experts in Disaster Management. The ASCEND project has been made possible by the funding support from the Government of the Republic of Korea through the ASEAN-ROK Cooperation Fund and will be implemented in collaboration with the Korean National Fire Agency, the ASEAN Committee on Disaster Management, and the ASEAN Secretariat.
Thank you, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, participants, distinguished guests. You may turn on your videos again. I hope that was entertaining for us. We will now invite some remarks from our strong supporters and friends of the ASEAN project as well as for the ASEAN Center. I would like to request remarks from Mr. Zaherman Mwabesi from the Indonesia BNPB. Pak Zaherman, the floor is yours.
Excellency Dato' Lim Jok Hoi, Secretary General of the ASEAN, His Excellency Lim Suk Nam, Ambassador of the Republic of Korea to the ASEAN, Ms. Adelina Kamal, Executive Director of the AHA Center, CDM Chair, and focal points. Excellencies and distinguished guests, good morning and selamat siang. As the representative of the Government of Indonesia and co-chair of the Knowledge and Innovation Management Working Group, first of all, we would like to congratulate AHA Center and the Republic of Korea for the launch of the Republic of Korea supported Project ASEAN Standard and Certificate of Expert in Disaster Management, or ASEAN. We hope that the approval of the Republic of Korea mission to the ASEAN on ASEAN's project would be an excellent initiative to advance ASEAN professional education and training, as well as professional competency assessment and certification of disaster management. BNPB will maintain our commitment to support ASEAN project and be ready to fully support this initiative through our training facilities and expertise for the purpose of the certification process. Once again, congratulations to our center for the excellent work and thank you, Republic of Korea, for the generous support. Thank you.
Next up is our close friend from Korea, Ms. Jin Jong-hee. She is the Deputy Fire Chief of the National Fire Office of Korea. Ms. Jong-hee, the floor is yours, please.
Congratulations on the launching of this ASEAN project. We are fully aware of the importance of this project as a major part of ASEAN's goal to become a global leader in disaster management. By sharing our expertise and experiences in disaster response, and by introducing Korea's IT-based disaster response system, we will fully cooperate with the AHA Center for the success of this project. We are looking forward to working together with you in making this project a success. Thank you so much for your presence here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jin, for the warm remarks. And next, I would like to invite from UN OCHA, who has been a strong supporter of ASEAN from the beginning, Ms. Victoria Sais Omenaka, the head of UN OCHA Indonesia. Ms. Victoria, the floor is yours.
Good morning. On behalf of UN OCHA, I would like to express my sincere congratulations on the launching of the ASEAN project. We in OCHA, as strong partners of ASEAN, we have been witness to all the work that has been done in the last years, as we have heard, to develop instruments such as the ASEAN framework, the ASEAN competencies, and we look forward to continuing to working with you. Again, very, very strong congratulations. It's an honor to be part of the work with you to make sure that ASEAN, as stated in the ASEAN 2025 vision, becomes a leader in the area of disaster response. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And next up, I would like to invite Mr. Danan Sunoto, who was mentioned by Ibu Lina, played a very instrumental role in the early phases of the ASEAN. So, Pak Danan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dipo. As I said, this is very unusual, but nevertheless, it's indeed an honor for me to be invited to this launching and asked to say a few words about ASEAN. So, Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon for those who are outside the region. First of all, I just like to say a very big congratulations to the ACDM Working Group on Knowledge and Innovative Management for taking up this important task of establishing a standards and certification system for experts in disaster management in ASEAN and for launching the ASEAN. On behalf of ASEAN USAID Progress, and now we call ourselves ASEAN USAID Prospect, we are most grateful and proud to be able to work together with the ACDM Working Group on Knowledge and Innovative Management, and also with the AHA Center on the establishment of this framework. The framework where the longer term goal is that one day ASEAN can confidently send out its disaster management experts to assist affected member states or disasters in other countries outside the region under the context of one ASEAN, one response strategy, where their skills, the skills of these experts, are comparable, if not better, than the international standards. A special mention and thank you should also be given to Dr. Sugimin from the Indonesia NDMO and co-chair, who is also at that time co-chair of the working group on KIM, who steadfastly and passionately drove the momentum to establish ASEAN. I will be remiss if I don't mention also Dipo Sumo, our MC at the moment, from the AHA Center, for his passionate support for establishing the ASEAN framework together with ASEAN USAID Progress. Needless to say, and finally, we are most grateful to the government of the Republic of Korea and also to the ASEAN-ROK Cooperation Fund for picking up the baton and supporting the implementation of ASEAN. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Danan, for the warm remarks, Pak. And I don't know whether we can have Pak Arman back again to say his remarks, but I guess we can move on to the next agenda, which is a very important agenda for ASEAN, the photo session. So I would like to invite everybody on the panelists to turn on your videos so that we can take your pictures for the launch event. I'm just checking whether everybody is already opening their videos. So our colleague from ICT, can you help me counting down the picture for the picture?
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We'll count to 3 and let's have the photo. Okay. Be ready. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. One more time because we have new colleagues. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. With that, we conclude the launching event for the ASEAN project. Thank you very much for your participation. We hope that you enjoy the launch, and we hope that we can do a face-to-face event next time. We will have a media conference now. For our media partners, please stay a while for the media conference. For those of you who do not wish to join the media conference, you are welcome to leave. Thank you again for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
SG Dato. Thank you, Ambassador Lim. Stay safe. Kamsahamnida. Thank you, Pak Said. I see you in the picture.
Thank you, Adeline.
So please stay if you wish to stay. For colleagues, I think we will have a press conference or media conference after this. If you wish to leave, it's also fine. But thank you very much, ACDM Focal Points. I see some of the ACDM Focal Points, Excellency Manoris, DG Kokonaing. Thank you so much.
So